Hello, everyone. Another book story today at Cindy Harper Speaks. And this one is entitled Fresh Air. Isn't it nice just to be outside when the air is fresh and you can ride your bicycle or walk or do whatever you like to do? Some people like to surf. Whatever it is you like to do, just being out and the air is fresh. This is written by Rhonda Rodriguez, illustrated by Cedric Lucas. So let's dive in and see what this is about. It says Javi lives in the city. He is going to spend 2 weeks in the country. So let's see Javi's experiences in the country. Javi looked out the window of the train. He could see only trees. Javi took out his diary and wrote, July 7th, 1959. Today I'm going to see the world. This was Javi's first trip away from his home in Brooklyn. I'm going on a long trip, Javi wrote, and I'm going to stay with a new family. Javi was in the summer fresh air program. In the program, kids from the city go to the country and spend 2 weeks with a family there. That sounds like a nice program. He's going to meet a lot of people he doesn't know. At first, Javi's mother did not want him to go. She thought he was too young. She didn't want him to go so far away. But Javi was 9 years old. He thought he was old enough to go. I will have 2 weeks of fun, he thought. I won't have to help Mom with the wash. I won't have to babysit my sister. Javi's mother wanted her son to have a good summer, so she finally made arrangements for his trip. The train trip was long. Finally, the train stopped at Northborough. Javi got off the train and looked around. There was no one there to meet him. Did the family forget about me, he wondered. Then a car drove up. A woman looked out the window. Are you Javi? She asked. I'm Marge Harris. I'm very glad to see you. Your room is all ready. Dinner is ready, too. My own room, Javi thought. He was surprised. Then he said, I am happy to meet you, Mrs. Harris. Thank you for inviting me. You're welcome, Javi, Mrs. Harris said. Now let's go back to the house. She drove back to the house with Javi. Javi has very good manners. At the house, Javi looked at the front yard. Wow, it's so big, he thought. Mrs. Harris opened the front door. A very large dog ran out and knocked Javi down. It began to lick his face. Cypress, don't jump, Mrs. Harris said. Cypress moved away. Javi had never seen such a large dog. The dogs back home in Brooklyn were much smaller. The house was quiet. The boys are at Little League. They will be home soon, Mrs. Harris said. Dinner is still warm. Eat as much as you want. You can sit in the kitchen or in the TV room. Javi was surprised. Javi's family always had dinner together. Mommy made rice and beans. Sometimes she made chicken or fish. Poppy brought fish home from his job at the fish market. That night, Javi thought about the Harris family. He had met Joey and Ricky when they got home from Little League. He had met Mr. Harris too. They were all so nice. Javi wanted to go to sleep, but he couldn't. It was too quiet. In Brooklyn, he could hear cars and radios. He could hear TVs and people talking on the street. In Northborough, he could only hear crickets chirping. He felt a little lonely in the big room. Finally, he fell asleep. Javi woke up the next morning. He had a lot of itchy mosquito bites. He wanted to scratch them. He went down to the kitchen. Oh, Javi, said Mrs. Harris, you have a lot of mosquito bites. We'll put lotion on them. It will take the itch away. Soon Javi had pink lotion on his face. He looked funny. He wanted to go home. Later that day, Javi, Joey, and Ricky walked to the town. The three boys passed a farm. Javi held his nose. What is that smell? Javi asked. Cows. Have you ever seen a cow before? Joey asked. I've seen cows before, Javi said, but I've never smelled them. Do you know why the brown cows are brown? Ricky asked. They give chocolate milk, Javi joked. They all laughed. The two boys liked Javi. We're going to have a lot of fun with you here, said Joey. So Javi's making good friends with Ricky and Joey. Joey and Ricky took Javi to a friend's house. They walked into a very big yard. There were a lot of kids there. Two boys were picking teams to play baseball. Put Javi on my team, Stu, Joey said to his friend. I will, said Stu, but are you sure you want him on your team? He doesn't have a glove. Javi frowned. I don't need a glove, he said. I'll show you a game we play back home in Brooklyn. It's called stickball. We don't need gloves or bats to play. Let's play stickball, said Stu. Javi can show us how to play. They found a long stick to hit with. Then Javi showed them how to play. Stu pitched the ball. Javi hit it hard. He ran around the bases. Wow, you really know how to hit really well, Stu said. He smiled at Javi. The kids played stickball all afternoon. They asked Javi many questions about Brooklyn. Is it true you can see Europe from the top of the Empire State Building? Asked one boy. Do you go to all the Yankees games? Asked another boy. Are the subways scary? Asked Stu. Javi was surprised. The kids didn't know much about Brooklyn. He didn't know much about Northborough. By the end of the day, Javi was very happy. He even forgot about his itchy mosquito bites. The three boys joked and laughed as they walked home. Cypress was there to meet them. He licked Javi's face. Do you want hamburgers for dinner? Mrs. Harris asked. Yes, said all three boys. Javi smiled. He liked everything about Northborough. All right, let's look at these questions. Where did the Harris family live? They lived in Northborough. This story happened many years ago. How do you know that? We know that because in the beginning, when Javi was writing, he said it was in 1959. That's how we know it was a long time ago. How did Javi feel on his first night in the country? I think he was a little bit nervous and he was excited because he couldn't sleep that night and things were so different. Suppose Javi came to visit you. What things would you show him? So if Javi came to visit you from Brooklyn, what would you show him about the town where you live? If you like the book Fresh Air, press like at the end, and I'll see you next time at Cindy Harper Speaks. Thanks for joining in. Bye.